Have you ever felt like you just don't quite fit in? Or maybe you've looked at someone else's life and thought, wow, if only I had what they have, everything would be perfect. It's a totally normal feeling, but today's story has a little something to say about that. Let's dive into the tale of a very ambitious but slightly misguided bird, the vain jackdaw and his borrowed feathers. Our story begins with a jackdaw, a simple, plain, black bird. He wasn't the flashiest guy in the sky, you know? He was just a jackdaw. One day, while flying over the magnificent gardens of the king's palace, he spotted something that completely mesmerized him. Down below, a flock of royal peacocks was parading around. Oh, you should have seen them! Their feathers shimmered with every color of the rainbow, deep blues, vibrant greens, and stunning golds, all fanning out into glorious, eye-spotted tails. The jackdaw watched from a branch, his little bird heart filled with a mix of wonder and, let's be honest, a whole lot of envy. Compared to these majestic creatures, he felt so dull and ordinary. His black feathers seemed so boring. He thought to himself, look at them. They're so beautiful, so elegant. Everyone must love them. If I could just look like them, I'd be just as grand and respected. He became convinced that the only thing separating him from that glamorous life was his appearance. It wasn't about his character or his actions. It was all about the feathers. So he came up with a plan. A rather clever one, he thought. He waited until the peacocks had finished their strutting and preening for the day and flew down to the spot where they had been. Lying on the ground were several feathers they had shed, still shimmering and beautiful. The jackdaw excitedly began to pick them up one by one. He carefully stuck these magnificent peacock feathers in among his own plain black ones. He arranged them just so, trying to create a tail that looked, at least to him, as splendid as a real peacock's. Once he was fully decorated in his borrowed finery, he took a moment to admire his reflection in a puddle. He puffed out his chest and strutted around. He felt transformed. He was no longer a simple jackdaw. He was someone special, someone important. He was ready for his grand debut. His first stop was to visit his old friends, the other jackdaws. He strutted loftily into their midst, expecting them to be amazed, to shower him with praise. But they just stared at him, confused. He held his head high, acting as if he were far too good for their simple company now. He gave them a condescending look as if to say, I'm one of the fancy birds now. Can't you tell? His friends didn't know what to make of this strange, arrogant behavior from one of their own. They just kind of shuffled away, whispering among themselves. Feeling superior and confident, the jackdaw then flew down into the palace garden, ready to join the high society of peacocks. He landed gracefully, or so he thought, right in the middle of them. He fanned his peacock feather-adorned tail and began to strut around, mimicking their elegant walk. For a moment, nothing happened. But then, one of the peacocks noticed something was off. The walk was a little clumsy, the bird was a little small, and wait a minute. Were those black feathers sticking out from under the beautiful plumes? Soon, the whole flock of peacocks turned to look at the intruder. They saw him for what he was, a fake, a pretender. They were not impressed, they were angry. How dare this little bird try to trick them and impersonate one of them? Furious at the deceit, they all flew at him. They pecked and pulled at the borrowed feathers, stripping them away one by one until none were left. But they didn't stop there. In their anger, they also plucked out some of his own black feathers, leaving him battered, bruised, and looking even worse than before. Humiliated and in pain, the poor jackdaw managed to escape and flew sadly back to his own kind. He thought that at least here, among his old companions, he would find some comfort. But another unpleasant surprise was waiting for him. The other jackdaws hadn't forgotten how he had acted earlier, how he had put on superior airs and treated them like they were beneath him. They remembered his arrogance. To punish him for his vanity and for turning his back on them, they wouldn't let him back into the flock. They drove him away with a storm of angry pecks and loud jeers. And so the jackdaw was left completely alone, rejected by the peacocks he wanted to be and cast out by the community he belonged to. He had tried so hard to be something he wasn't, and in the end, he lost everything. The story leaves us with a simple but powerful truth. Borrowed feathers do not make fine birds. It's a reminder that trying to be someone else, or pretending to have qualities you don't, will never lead to true happiness or acceptance. Your real worth comes from who you are on the inside, not from the fancy things you wear or the image you project. Authenticity is your greatest asset. It's better to be a proud and honest jackdaw than a miserable, fake peacock. Thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed this story and its message, please give this video a like and subscribe for more tailies that make you think. Until next time, be yourself, everyone else is already taken.